What up, everybody? Thank you for joining for another episode of Fast and Tierious. Today, I am here with Colton Roderick. He is co-founder and CEO of Elefante. Is it Elefante Labs?
We changed to Elefante RevOps. So
Elefante RevOps. Some cool stuff about them. I'm so excited to have this specific conversation. They started officially became a HubSpot partner June 2023. Last year, they were number 15 in Rookie of the Year, and they didn't quit their full-time job until 2024. On Friday, that is January 12th, 2024. Colton, thank you for joining the show today. Excited to learn more about your journey, man.
Yeah, no, thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it and happy to be here.
Yeah. I had first met Colton back in that journey. It was probably around June when you were first starting. It's just cool to see it happen live in front of my eyes. And we talked about some stuff earlier, and now it's here. It's cool to see it manifest into burning the ship. So congratulations. That just happened.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's the first time I saw you and heard about Supered was actually the Hug event, and I believe it was in June. So we were untiered at the time. We're learning and building the plane as we were going. So when we got introduced to Supered, it was perfect timing. So
we'll talk about you are, in the truest sense, we talk about entrepreneurs, but there's still a nascency to what you're doing, but there's also maturity and you have a plane that's flying. How long did it take you to get to Platinum? Like from June to 6 months,
around
5 months?
6 or 7 months. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So congrats. That's just epic, and I'd love to see the growth in the ecosystem. So let's start. What led you to saying, I want to create a HubSpot solutions consultancy specializing in RevOps in this ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question. It goes back to 2019. I got my degree in marketing. I went to school in San Francisco. At the time, I was part of a club with Salesforce. Salesforce was all the talk back in the day. So I would go to the Salesforce tower. I'd listen in on conversations, do the trailhead badges, all of that while I was in school. In addition to that, I was creating websites and WordPress, and it turned me off, honestly, while I was doing marketing at school. And so I decided to change my career path and go into commercial real estate sales. And then that's when I got introduced to HubSpot. Commercial real estate sales, it's a long time to make a sale. At the time when I was doing real estate sales, I was actually working construction as well. I was doing construction, I was doing plumbing, and then at the same time, I was doing everything I could to learn about HubSpot and Python. I was doing data camp as well. So I was just trying to absorb everything.
Goodness.
Eventually, it came to a point where I was done with the construction industry. I have a thing for traveling, so I ended up going to Brazil, started doing consulting work. I've been doing consulting work since 2018 when I was in school as well. Flew to Brazil, continued doing HubSpot, learning about HubSpot.
Did you have a return ticket, or is this you fly to Brazil to be a digital nomad?
No return ticket. Yeah, so I flew there. This was 2020, 2019. Flew to Brazil.
Pre-COVID, so this is still easy.
Pre-COVID. Yeah, flew to Brazil, started doing HubSpot work, consulting, started picking up things and met a girl in Brazil, and we were together for about 2 years, and then we had a baby. Then that was my oh shit moment. I gotta get my things together and got a full-time job, continued doing HubSpot with a full-time job. I met my partner Garo. And
so are you still in Brazil at this point? So you met your now wife in Brazil. Y'all are expecting. You're like, okay, I know how to provide for a child.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when did you move back to the States? Because you're in the States now, right?
Yeah. So we moved back to the States in April to have our baby, Chloe. So Chloe came in June. I met Garo in December the year before. As a consultant, he reached out to me and we started working together on projects. He stood out to me compared to anyone else. He's just night and day compared to other contractors I've worked with. We had the baby in June, and I formed a partnership in June, Elefante Labs. That is Elefante RevOps now. And yeah, we haven't looked back since. So
we'll make sure this is an awesome story. So as we're hearing this, you absorbed you started bleeding Salesforce blue and building HubSpot and building WordPress websites. You started absorbing all the information you could. You
Yeah.
decided at this, and working to make a living and surviving. You decide, I want to do something different, and I would be sad if I didn't do this thing. And if I look back in my life, so I moved to Brazil with a no return flight. You move to Brazil. In Brazil, you find a partner you want to share your life with. You become a father, you become a husband, and you start a business. So you had 2 babies, and you find a partner, like a business marriage. You did essentially 2 marriages, had a baby, and now you're watching them grow. That's cool.
Pretty much. Yeah. It was a busy year. I don't
What
recommend
made you,
it. Yeah.
all those things often happen over a course of a life. You just put them in one year.
It happened in 1 year. Yeah.
What made you decide to go into HubSpot and not Salesforce? Because you grew up in Salesforce, you're doing Trailhead. Trailhead, my opinion, and some people crucify me when I say this, it's still better than HubSpot Academy. Don't hate me, everybody. It's still better than HubSpot Academy. What made you come and say, okay, I actually enjoy working at HubSpot more?
Yeah. I think what really stood out with me was the simplicity of HubSpot compared to Salesforce. I feel like adopting HubSpot is a bit easier compared to Salesforce. Yeah, it was just really easy for me to pick up and be able to teach others how to use the platform. So I would say that's the main standout for me.
Not an official statement, but sometimes it is better to learn HubSpot using Trailhead. Do some admin courses there and then go to HubSpot, and you will know how to use HubSpot better, and you will appreciate it more.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the nugget I took away from that, Colton.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we go, so 7 months to platinum, you ended up started in June, and still made Rookie of the Year, despite made Rookie of the Year this year inside HubSpot. So let's talk more about creating the consultancy, these partners, and how that journey went. You started a partner, like with a partnership, which is not everyone's journey. A lot of people do it solo at the beginning. They don't have a partner from the beginning. I'll ask you this because it's unique to you. When I was doing HubSpot Partner, I started with a partner too. I had a very good experience. Some people have bad experiences.
Right.
What has been the benefit in your mind of having someone with you that is running at your same speed? What has been that benefit is that why you think you've had an outsized impact and moving fast?
100%. So I would say Garo and I are relatively new to the space, but I think the one thing that we do best is learning from others. So other partners who have been here and have already done stuff, we are constantly learning from everyone in the ecosystem. What has stood out to me the most is building a community and collaborating with others. I always thought of this early on, and that's why I saw in Garo. So I knew that I wanted this to be something big, and I couldn't do it alone. You can do more in numbers if you can find the right people. Yeah, I would suggest partnering early. If you find someone that has the same energy, has the same vibe, can grind and work hard with you, and you guys are aligned there, it's a no-brainer. So
I heard you say it's not additive, which is what happens when you often add people. It's multiplicative. Yeah. I experienced this idea of it's different when someone's running beside you and you see them moving faster than you because you speed up a little bit, and there's this natural speeding up. And then you have to look at each other, guys, we're moving too fast. Let's both decide to slow down a little bit. And then you have to slow down.
And just to add to that too, so that there's tons of ups and downs, and it's nice having someone there alongside you going through it with you, because there's a lot of lows, there's a lot of ups, and it's great sharing all of it together, going through it together. So
I feel like I could talk more with you about this specific thing because I've had a partner, and that what you just laid is so key.
Yeah.
Being a business owner is so isolating. And if you don't have that partner, you need to create places you have partnerships. And so you have organizations like EO or Vintage or I forget the name of it, but you have these places where you really need these places to be able to celebrate, learn from each other, have your lows. If not, it is very isolating and can lead to anxiety, quite frankly, in a way that's not healthy.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I've heard of EO Accelerator. Yeah. And Garo is just like a soundboard. We talk to each other about things and we bounce ideas off each other, and then we move on.
Love it. Let's go through where you're at today, some of these challenges you face as you're growing in these last 7 months. So today, what is revenue, and how is your company structured in terms of employees to contractors?
Yeah, I would say it's hard to say because we haven't had a full year yet, but on average, I think we're doing around 50 to 60 MRR. So ballpark around 600 ARR. As far as employees go, we've been working with 1099 contractors up to this point. What we're trying to change is get on W-2s, bring on more full-time people. So we brought on one full-time person, Garo's full-time, and myself is full-time. So we plan on doubling that hopefully by the end of the year. So
Congrats. First off, congrats. When I burnt ships in a partnership, it was at 40K MER for me.
yeah.
And then we quickly end up being 50K. And that's when we hired our first employee. We both went in as the exact same. I think there's something about it. If you can get to that 30 to 50, you got something special. So congrats on making the decision. So I hear goals next year are doubling. And so that double would be 100K MER, which is a 1.2. So the goal next year is to go over that $1 million AAR threshold and start building. How are you, before we get into the how we're going to achieve that, let's talk about the initial challenges faced. I think this is, I'm going to call one out, the elephant in the room, if you would, is you had a job you were managing as well. You were not full-time always. So these initial challenges of building and starting, let's walk, what are your top 3 of these challenges you had to overcome in order to hit that 50K MER so you could burn the ships?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say the challenge is burning the boat. It's absolutely scary. Even right now, this week was my first week full time with Elefante. Being able to burn that boat, it's a scary thing, but I feel like it's a necessary thing to take a gamble. The challenge that I face today is, I would say mainly with like people operations, bringing on people, the right people that fit our culture and can grow and work hard with us. It's hard finding people who can work like Garo and I do. So I would say that has been the biggest challenge for us is hiring. That's a completely new space for me. So trying to find the right people. I've started looking at potentially bringing someone in for people operations to help me out with this, because I would say that is my weak point. That's the biggest challenge right now that I can think of.
And as you were to get to your point now, what were the challenges you had to overcome? How did you get your first couple of clients? How did you expand? Walk through, what were you thinking through what were the obstacles you had to overcome in order to feel comfortable making the risky or the gamble on yourself, betting on yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Garo and I are both freelancers. We've worked off of Upwork as consultants. So most of our work has been coming through there. So we've had steady work coming in through there. What we're doing next is we're opening up new channels. So for us to feel comfortable, for me to feel comfortable, I don't think I ever did feel comfortable to make this leap. Like I still don't. Like it's almost like an insecurity still, but yeah, I don't know how to answer that. So it's just like burning the boat and taking the leap. So
I love everything you're saying, and I love how authentic it is. And I'd say, as someone that has also burned this boat on the other side of that, you're about to experience, and anyone listening to this that is thinking about how do I do it, it is scary. But if you have it, there is something when you can give 100% of yourself to something and build something with your hands and create true mastery, and you're going to have more growth over this year, even if you fail. There's no such thing as failure here. Because you are going to learn to hire. You are going to learn AR and AP, accounts receivable, accounts payable. You are going to learn to do payroll and to get state taxes right, and thinking about financial planning and getting it right. This is awesome, and it's going to accelerate everything. It's just going to accelerate everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's huge. So learning, failing, growing, failing fast, and moving forward is like our motto. That's what we're trying to do. So
story time, Colton. It was in June. I don't know when it happened. And we had a conversation with Super, and Super in many ways is all about, I love doing this thing, is helping partners scale. And Cole's like, I can't afford it. And I was like, we'll make this work. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make it work. And he took the bet and it worked. I just want there's that spirit of entrepreneurship. If you're like, hey, is starting a company for me? You got to you hear Colton's, and you got to have a little bit of that. I don't call it crazy. What are you going to call it? But there's a special spice, and I love it. I love seeing it. And it's
There's a touch of crazy in there, I think. Yeah.
uh, okay. You're where you are now. And so you're giving perspective and being number 15, rookie of the year. You've gone 7 months to platinum. You have $600,000 AAR. You have a real living business. What is one thing you would never do again, knowing what you know now?
Yeah. One thing I would not do again is let anyone too close to the core of the business. So keeping your cards close to you, I would say, is a huge learning lesson that I've learned. Yeah, I would not bring contractors, especially, too close to how you're operating your business, keeping that separate. So that's been a huge learning curve to me, differentiating W-2 full-time employees who they can feel like this is their business just as much as it's like our business versus contractors. Yeah, I think that's the main thing.
What I heard is culture is extremely important. And if someone's not in the same boat with you, it's just be careful. Y'all are not in different boats when you're doing it. I'm sure there's a whole nother story there that we could talk about
Absolutely.
off air at Inbound this year. Number 2 is, what is something you wish you would have done earlier?
I think process size early. I think we did the best we could to build our processes and SOPs on how we do things, but structurally, I wish we did that earlier, just so we had our systems laid out for us internally as well as externally with our clients.
Let's give me an example of, because there's a lot of items inside a business to put process around and structure. What is the 2 most important you wish you would have done? I heard you say something about external facing processes, and I heard you say something about internal facing. So what is the top internal and what's the top external things you wish you did earlier? That you, if someone was coming to you, you'd say, hey, do these things.
Yeah, so we've broken it up into two pieces. So pre-sales, post-sales. So we've started processizing pre-sales, building out SOPs on exactly how we go through the process of qualifying leads and then closing leads into customers. We've done that internally with the goal of bringing on an expert in sales for us. And that's part of our goal of doubling in our size and revenue, where we're able to onboard him relatively quickly with the SOPs that we have built out in our process to the handoff to the customer success. Garo and I have both moved into customer success. And so that handoff is handed off to one of us. We've automated a lot of it. And the customer success piece with the SOP, it goes from building out a ClickUp board to getting those tasks in place and then presenting it to the client. Like, we work on bi-weekly sprints. We put all the scope together on this call now. We're at the discovery call. Then we have the bi-weekly calls. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest piece.
Yeah, it's this tension of we're growing and we have to reinvent. We have to invent the plane. And you're to the point where the earlier you can create a external process that at least makes it seems like you got your stuff together internally is so important. And then as you bring on one person or you have to have some kind of, it can be a bad process. It can be a not done process. But at least give them something that they can follow and disagree with so that you can go. So,
yeah. And so I would say just like processes help out with pre-sales and making clients, the end user, comfortable with understanding what they're going to get at the end of the day. So what are they going to get? Yeah.
So I think this goes to this transitions nicely, and I pseudo heard it here. You were platinum today. We're going into 2024. What big bet are you making for the year of 2024? What is there one or two big bets that you think is going to bring Elevante RevOps to the next level?
Yeah, it's twofold. So I mentioned we're bringing in an expert salesperson, a vetted person that knows sales, knows how to close deals and qualify leads. So we're bringing that person in full time here, hopefully in February. Right now he's fractional, so he's helping us build our offer and how we're going to approach a specific niche. So that's the other side of it. We're going to niche down and go with that, because
I'm going to stop for 1 second.
Yeah.
So you hear it is, so everyone hears it is. I love what you just said, and I think there's a learning here. There's a fractional person that is testing, trying out, especially when you're small. And you've already said this. There's this engagement period that it's very it's such a desire to skip it, but it's so important to make sure you jive, make sure the culture is the same. I love how you're doing that. So I didn't mean to rush. That was such an important point.
Yeah, just to touch on that, like we wanted to bring him on full time, but frankly, we couldn't afford him. Like he's great at what he does, but I think it helps with us not moving too fast and breaking things and not being able to recover. So bringing him on fractionally has been a great decision.
And then you're making the next point. You're doing it with sales. He's coming in, and you talked about niching. So let's expound. What's the bet there, and why is that a change?
Yeah. So I mentioned I look at other partners and how they're doing it. I think what has stand out to me the most, and if I have to look at partners, it's the homeless HubSpotter, Adam, and how he's niched down. I think it's incredible how he's done that. That's what has stood out to me the most, and being able to provide the most value to the end user, specifically with all the problems that they have in their industry. So we're already 2 steps ahead and can really provide the most value and bring in the most revenue for them. And we're both happy at the end of the day when that's the case. So
it's some people would say on the West Coast, niching is bitching. Is just a shout out to Adam Sand out there is year 2, number 7 partner of the year. And I think he's the highest non-elite partner on that list. It talks about where the ecosystem's going.
Yeah, it's funny because he wasn't even shooting for that. And he probably just looked at it one day and he's, oh yeah, I'm number 7.
Yeah, there's a process creates results. And we talk about these big bets. You're going to do sales, you're going to start niching, and the combination of those two, they're just going to have natural results to start to build. What next year, we talked about revenue, but are there any specific goals you're trying to hit? Are there revenue tier, employee size, or TAM saturation? What are you looking to do? What's the big goals?
Yeah, so we're looking to become a diamond partner by the end of the year. So hopefully by December, we're diamond, and we're at 6 full-time employees. So we're at 3 full-time employees now. We want to double that. We want to double our revenue to 1.2, and then we want to be a diamond partner.
Colton, I believe in you. Thank you for sharing your journey where you're at right now. I think this is extremely valuable. Congratulations on what you've done so far. And I say so far, I mean, becoming rookie. You only get to be a rookie 1 year and you made the list. And then congratulations on burning the ships in this year. And I think there are great things ahead. You already said is the community is what got you here. I'm sure you would love to talk to other people, either starting, or if you're like, hey, Colton, you said something crazy and you have a mentor who wants to talk to you, maybe Adam. How would people get in contact you after this podcast?
Yeah, I think the best way is on LinkedIn. You can reach me on LinkedIn. You can just search my name, Colton Rodrigue. My last name's Roderigue, or you can reach me via email, colton@elefantelabs.com.
Appreciate it. Colton, thank you for everything. Stay awesome. Keep doing it big. Stay super, everybody.
Cool.
Adios.
Thanks, Matt.